Welcome to the algebra course. My name is Amos Tarfa and I'll be one of your instructors going over principles in equations, inequalities, and graphing, and so on. In this course, you'll be equipped to do Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 well. We'll give you both courses, and then you can take the CLEP Algebra 2 to get the college credit for the math. Algebra has its origins back to about 600 AD from a library in Baghdad. That's part of where it's traced back to. But of course, there's a lot of concepts in algebra. So there's different people like John Napier with logarithms, different people for different concepts. So let's talk a little bit about equations, the very first chapter of your book. In 1.1 of your book, it talks about one-step equations. Okay. If someone says x plus 5 is equal to 7, basically, we don't know what x is, and we're trying to solve for x. So what do? In math, there's something called PEMDAS, which you're very familiar with, I'm sure, and that has to do with simplifying expressions. PEMDAS deals with simplifying expressions, but when you're solving equations, you actually use SADMEP, I call it, which is where you do the subtraction and addition first, then the multiplication and division before you do the exponents and parentheses. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with solving equations. So the first thing here is we use the opposite operation. So it's x plus 5 is 7, so we have to subtract 5 from both sides. In math, we can write down that this was the subtraction property of equality. You don't always have to do this, but I just wanted to show you that there's a reason for why we did it, right? There's a reason. That's the key with math. You have to have a reason for doing things. So, the reason why we can do what we did is because the 5, if we're subtracting it from both sides, would allow us then to say x is equal to 2. Okay? So x is equal to 2. We subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, very good. With one-step equations, when you're multiplying two things, you divide both sides by the number in question. So in this other example, it was 2 times x. We divide by 2 here to get rid of that x. That's legal, right? And this goes back to the properties of real numbers, which are discussed in Tools for Mastering Mathematics. If you take my book, Tools for Mastering Mathematics, and go to the second part where I give you a reference book, look for the page that says properties of real numbers. That would be a great thing to study. And I'll make sure I go through, make videos for every one of those relevant pages that you can use as a resource. Sometimes in math, it's learning how to use your resources well. So that's what we do to the left side to get rid of the 2. So then on the right side, we have to divide by 2 as well. So this part is going to become 5, right? So 10 divided by 2 is 5. In order to do algebra, we need you to know your multiplication and division facts. We need that because otherwise we're going to have trouble along the way. So the first chapter is on one-step equations. The key to remember is use the opposite operation to get rid of the number in question, and then do the same thing to the other side. And that's how you solve a one-step equation. If it's something multiplying your variable, divide both sides. If it's something dividing your variable, multiply both sides by that number. If it's something adding to your variable, subtract from both sides. And if it's something subtracting your variable, add to both sides. I hope that's helpful. I look forward to talking to you in the next section. Algebra is very important, and this is the very beginning. Take care and have a blessed day.